So you got the cool New Yorkers, and then there are the less than cool New Yorkers. As one of the voices of rural New Yorkers in Congress, I am committed to supporting efforts such as these that will make a real impact in people's lives. People say that New Yorkers aren't friendly, but I think they're more friendly than Londoners. Here there is a front-footed nature of Americans. You can go out on a night out and meet 10 random people and stay in touch with them, whereas that's not going to happen in the same way in London. The expansion of tobacco cessation centers is an important part of our historic and continuing effort to help smokers quit. The expansion of these centers will give even more New Yorkers the help they need to quit once and for all. New Yorkers, by reputation, are fast-talking, assertive and easily annoyed. I fit right in. People in London think of London as the center of the world, whereas New Yorkers think the world ends 3 miles outside of Manhattan. New Yorkers are either the nicest or the rudest. As most New Yorkers have done, I have given serious and generous thought to the state of my apartment should I get killed during the day. The NYPD has too urgent a mission and too few officers for us to waste time and resources on broad, unfocused surveillance. We have a responsibility to protect New Yorkers from violent crime or another terrorist attack, and we uphold the law in doing so. People say New Yorkers can't get along. Not true. I saw 2 New Yorkers, complete strangers, sharing a cab. One guy took the tires and the radio, the other guy took the engine. There's that stigma about New Yorkers, how they're so mean, but in my experience it was quite the opposite. People were very genuine and very nice, even on the subway. Back when I lived in Brooklyn, I'd sometimes take the Q train all the way out to Coney Island and back, and work on my laptop. There's something about pushy New Yorkers looking over your shoulder that really makes you produce sentences. After the tragedy, New Yorkers are more united than ever in their vision, as well as in appreciation what living in freedom means, and that if we stand together, we can accomplish anything. New Yorkers think they have everything, all the best art and music, but really LA is a better place. Well, it's a little harder in New York. It's not as forgiving to a film crew. You hold up a bunch of New Yorkers who can't cross the street, they're not going to take it well. Southern California, they'll wait. It's cool, man. In New York, they're like, are you kidding me? I gotta get to work. Fair and affordable housing is a basic right for all New Yorkers and all Americans. I think that most New Yorkers would object to calling me a New Yorker. I didn't grow up here. I love the honesty of New Yorkers. When a New Yorker says, let's do lunch, they actually mean it. In LA, when they say, let's do lunch, they're just trying to say goodbye. The contrasts between what is spent today to educate a child in the poorest New York City neighborhoods, where teacher salaries are often even lower than the city averages, and spending levels in the wealthiest suburban areas are daunting challenges to any hope New Yorkers might retain that even semblances of fairness still prevail. You have this impression from England that New Yorkers can be quite aggressive, but certainly the people that I've bumped into and the friends I've made here don't seem that way. Just walking down the street and asking for directions, people seem to be very helpful and happy to help. New Yorkers love it when you spill your guts out there. Spill your guts at Wimbledon and they make you stop and clean it up. I am just a normal human being, I am alive. Why is anyone surprised that I am human? Like many New Yorkers, I have a multifaceted life. I am one of the 11.5% of New Yorkers who remain traumatized by the events of September 11th. Today we voted as Democrats and Republicans. Tomorrow we begin again as New Yorkers. I can't wait for summer in the city. I love all the free activities in the parks that become available to us New Yorkers. Yoga and movie screenings in Bryant Park, concerts in Central Park. There's so much more available to the New York community in the summer, and everyone just seems to smile more. The reflexive allergy to LA that a lot of New Yorkers have, I feel like it's kind of nonsense. On that terrible day, a nation became a neighborhood. All Americans became New Yorkers. After the 9/11 apocalypse happened in New York City, people, particularly New Yorkers, who breathed in the ash, or saw the results of that, have a tendency to keep seeing echoes and having flashbacks to it. I do love to walk around in New York because people will notice me, smile, but they never bother anyone. New Yorkers are very cool. I love New York. You can get the true essence of New Yorkers by just hanging out in Central Park. When people endure a traumatic event, they are either defeated or made stronger. On September 11th, I told New Yorkers, I want you to emerge stronger from this. My words were partially a hope and partially an observation that people in New York City handle big things better than little things. I could not be more proud of the way my city responded. New Yorkers may think they're on some cutting edge, but that's not especially true. It is, however, the most exciting heterogeneous mess of a town I've ever seen. Like most New Yorkers, I was shell-shocked immediately after September 11th and couldn't put into words what I was feeling. I think the most interesting New Yorkers are the people who were not born here. Greenwich Village always had its share of mind readers, but there are many more these days, and they seem to have moved closer to the mainstream of life in the city. What was crazy 10 years ago is now respectable, even among the best educated New Yorkers. It was an incredible resource. I'd sit with a big stack of bound New Yorkers in the library and read through, especially the "Talk of the Town" sections. More than 150 heads of state attended the UN summit, giving New Yorkers a chance to get in touch with prejudices they didn't even know they had. These are tough times, and the New Yorkers I have met are facing economic adversity with grace and dignity. They worry about their future, care about their neighbors, and hope this storm will pass so they can focus on better days ahead. Most New Yorkers want to look amazing, and they want you to understand that they look amazing, but they also want you to stop staring at them. I certainly believe that all of my friends should have the right, as Mark and I did, to marry their best friend. I certainly expect my straight friends to help us achieve that for all New Yorkers, for all Americans, and for the children that, at least, Mark and I hope to have someday. What's so fascinating about New Yorkers is that each person has a whole lexicon of personal logic in the way that they decipher and do what has to be done to enjoy, stay alive, take pleasure in this place. I came out of a building and this woman stopped me, like, "You're Miss Universe." And she was a New Yorker. I'm not used to New Yorkers being fans, because they're so blasé about it, you know. As I walked down the street while talking on the phone, sophisticated New Yorkers gaped at the sight of someone actually moving around while making a phone call. Remember that in 1973, there weren't cordless telephones, let alone cellular phones. New Yorkers have a delightfully narcissistic habit of assuming that if they're not conscious of a scene, it doesn't exist. Anytime 4 New Yorkers get into a cab together without arguing, a bank robbery has just taken place. My apartment is the equivalent of one room in my Toronto home. Now I understand why New Yorkers are on the streets at all hours. People don't want to stay inside for fear they'll go crazy. Every single day, we have hundreds, if not thousands of police officers protecting the lives of not just New Yorkers, but the millions who come to New York City to work and to vacation. I think that, in comparison, New Yorkers and Northerners are so guarded. If the Frieze Art Fair catches on, I imagine at least 2 great things happening. First, we will once again have a huge art fair in town that isn't too annoying to go to. More importantly, Frieze may finally show New Yorkers that we can cross our own waters for visual culture. That would change everything. Putting labels on entire groups of people makes things much simpler. If all New Yorkers are pushy, or all politicians are dishonest, we don't have to do the hard work of figuring out who's who. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.